Those of you watching and at home, I'd like to share something with you, an announcement that I've written, and I'll be putting this out in the email. I have here Jim Latza standing here on behalf of Staff Parish and Pastor Laura and myself. So I'm going to read to you what I shared yesterday. After many months of prayer and conversation with my family, I've requested from Bishop Tracy Smith Malone voluntary retirement effective July 1st, 2021. I make this decision knowing that these past 3.5 years at Lakewood have been a deep blessing to both myself and my family. Since 1986, I have served 5 local churches under 6 different bishops. I've served as a district superintendent in the Mahoning Valley for 8 years. And in every space and place I served, I've witnessed amazing love and care in every congregation or church setting that God enabled me and my family to go to. When I came to Lakewood United Methodist Church, I knew and I shared I would not serve another church as an active pastor anywhere. I've witnessed you, this congregation, bring healing to both yourselves and to the wider community. You welcome everyone with genuine hospitality, and you're not afraid to try new ideas. Working alongside Pastor Laura has been a gift beyond any words I can say. Her love for this church, for this community, for God, and her ability to co-lead with me has made my ministry here the icing on the ministry cake of my life. Now, the obvious question you may be asking is, why now? Good question. Debbie and I have been talking about this for well over a year and a half. And in my prayerful discernment and conversations, I landed at this space that now is the time. I sat back and I thought, I've been working since I've been 17 years old. And when I began this ministry in 1986 as a local student pastor, I work hard. And I worked hard to plan for a time that Debbie and I could spend a part of our life traveling, exploring new things, visiting our granddaughter Ava, who's watching right now in Minnesota, and her family, and basically walking into the next phase of our life together. Quite honestly, in addition, I've had a few close friends of mine die without enjoying any opportunity of their retirement. And then finally, as many of you know, Debbie's mom, Carol, lives nearby. And one of the great things of me being appointed to Lakewood was the ability Debbie and I had to be there for both Deb's mom, Carol, and her dad, Andy, when we moved here. Andy died 2.5 years ago. But Carol now, we're her go-to family on all concerns and all issues. And as her health struggles continue and she faces challenges, it's become more important for us as a family to be there with her as well. Family's always been important to us. And it's important to be there for those that love you. Now, I've shared with Bishop Malone and our district superintendent, Steve Bailey, that I love Lakewood United Methodist Church. You're hearing that, I hope. And that the people and ministry of this church is more than I ever imagined it would be. You have navigated a pandemic by not only surviving the radical changes that were thrust upon us, but thriving and reaching out in new ways to share the love of God to others that is changing people's lives even today. I am so blessed to have been called to serve you, the beautiful people here at Lakewood. In conversation with Reverend Bailey, and I have shared a lot with him. I even sent him additional information that wasn't asked for about Lakewood. And I also know Pastor Laura has been in extended conversations with him. But Reverend Bailey wanted me to make sure you knew that Reverend Laura Jaisley will continue to be a part of the new pastoral ministry team here at Lakewood. It's critical to the life of the church. I shared the news with Jim Latza. I shared it with Laura last week, with Jim Latza, our staff parish chair, on Monday. And last night I shared it with all the staff parish and the staff and some key leaders of the church. So what's next? In talking with Steve Bailey, he stated that the bishop and the cabinet this week will be meeting in cabinet. He anticipates Lakewood United Methodist Church being worked, which means looking at the pastoral appointment to come here this week. Your staff parish committee prepared detailed information about the strengths and the needs of this church back in the fall. They've done a great job of explaining and sharing what are the requirements and needs they see of any pastor who's at this church. Reverend Bailey has spoken and shared that he has that information, will share that as well with the cabinet. He anticipates an appointment being discerned this week, and probably within the next 2 weeks, meeting with Jim Latza and the staff parish committee, and you have a strong staff parish committee who will then share in conversation with that new pastor and superintendent. And when the time is right, Jim will come to you, sharing the information on the pastoral leadership team that will be here. I'm outside of the loop, outside of the communication point now in that regards. Friends, God is with us in this transition. If you know me well, you know I've always trusted in God's grace in both the peaks of life and the valleys of life. And I know God will guide all of us through the days ahead. We are not alone. We are not alone in this. God is with us. I would ask that you pray for our family as the days unfold. Pray for the work of the staff parish committee as they plan and then meet with Reverend Bailey and whoever the pastoral leader will be that will be introduced to them. I pray for wisdom for Bishop Malone and the cabinet in this discernment process for Lakewood United Methodist Church. And I ask you to pray for Pastor Laura and her family as she prepares to work not just with the new pastoral colleague in the coming months, but also to help navigate this transition like she did beautifully when I came, following when Charlie Yost was the interim, and she helped navigate a beautiful transition that made it so smooth for us. We've been reminded in the messages for Advent, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Be encouraged always, because, my friends, God's grace is sufficient, and God will see us through. That's my sharing. Let it sink in, let it process as this day unfolds.